Yes, a work which would have been done in like 2 hours got done in few seconds. I think it's all thanks to one of the fastest growing sectors in India, and that is the IT sector. Well, now that we have crossed the 1 million landmark, I think I should again try my level best to take the analysis to the next level, and that is the reason why in this video we are going to discuss few points which are very crucial and unique while doing the analysis of IT sector. But to know about these points, check out the full video. Hi guys, CA Rachana Ranade here, and I welcome you all to a brand new Saturday lecture. As I mentioned, I'm going to try to make this lecture more value added for you. Why? Because we are not going to talk about general analysis points. Like we have talked about financial analysis, like balance sheet analysis, P&L analysis, cash flow statement analysis in so many lectures till date. These analyses are important, but they are not specific to any sector as such. This has to be done for all sorts of companies. Today, what we are going to focus on is we are going to talk about certain unique points which have to be considered, which very few people consider while analyzing the IT sector companies. Okay, before we move on with all these 5 top points which I have covered, which I am going to cover in this session, let me just quickly tell you, if I'm talking about IT, then what would it deal with? Okay, so basically IT, I can say information technology can divide into 2 parts. Which are the 2 parts? One is services, one is products. Okay, if I'm talking about services first, because that is generally a major chunk. In services, there is a further bifurcation of ITES and other services. Now, what is ITES? IT enabled service, and the other one being other service. Now, what is IT enabled service? I'll quickly give you a very small definition for that. It says that IT, information technology, that enables the business by improving the quality of service is ITES. Now, how can any IT improve that service? So, for example, if a software is made by any company which is improving the quality of HR, which is improving the quality of admin, which is improving the quality of, let us say, production, which is improving the quality of finance, all this will be done through a software. A simple example can be of a software like SAP. It eases out the process, it simplifies it, it helps in better productivity. If I'm talking about sale of such services, these are called as IT enabled services. Okay. Let me also give you an example of a BPO or KPO service, which falls under the ITES service only. Okay. So let's take a real life example, Accenture BPO. Now, what service do they provide? They provide a service which is called as financial management service, and they do have a profile which is named as a client financial management analyst. Now, what do they do exactly? They provide various services like processing of financial transactions, business reporting, it could be payroll processing, okay? So, all these services, who is providing? The BPO is providing. And of course, that is also going to form a part of their income. So, what do these IT companies sell? These IT companies sell either, as I mentioned, product, or they can sell a service. Out of this service, I talked about one service which is ITES, IT enabled service. Now, what can be other services? Other services can be like consulting service, okay, just a consultancy. It could be your annual maintenance contract wherein they are coming, they are seeing whether all your softwares are up to date or not, whatever. This is a minor part again, okay. If I talk about products, that is also a comparatively minor part where I can talk about things like any company, let us say, which generally again I'm mentioning part is very low. Companies, let us say, reselling laptops, or let us say they are reselling the notebooks, some storage products, some networking solutions. All these things, these are covered under sale of products. Okay. So I hope both these segments are clear, services and products. And one last point I would like to talk about is India state-run enterprise segment. That could be one more segment, but obviously that is also more or less like services ka subpart only. Okay, why? You might be aware that India's GST software, the software India is using for GST, that is also made obviously by some IT company. Okay, so that would come under the India state-run enterprise segment. So a company, IT company, selling a software to the Indian government. Okay, I'll also tell you one more thing, like the passport office also. Passport office also has a small part which is outsourced to TCS. Okay, so this is what, again, this will come up under Indian state-run enterprise segment. So have you understood the base business of IT related companies? I hope it is yes. So let's start with the very first point to be considered. It's called as the CC growth. CC growth, that's the constant currency growth. Okay. To understand this concept in the most simplified manner, I feel you should try to understand this with the help of an example rather than me telling you the theory. Okay. Just take this example. We are talking about a company, IT company, which sells its services to a company in US. Okay. Assume that the last year's revenue was $100 and current year's revenue is $120. Okay. Now, when they do the accounting of this, what they do is they convert dollars into Indian rupees as per the exchange rate. Okay, and that will be booked in the profit and loss account as turnover, as revenue. Okay, none of our Indian companies will say that our revenue was $1,000. They'll convert this $1,000 into rupees and then show it. But wait, this is what is the difference between CC growth and the revenue growth. First, let's understand CC growth only. What is given here? $100 was the previous year sales. $120 is the current year's sale. So tell me, if I'm talking only dollar terms, what is the CC growth? What is the constant currency growth? It's only $20. So by how much percentage did the revenue rise? Revenue rose only by 20%. Now understand that last year, let us say in 2019, the exchange rate was 65 and in current year exchange rate is 75. Of course, this is an example. It may not be 10 rupees every year. This is just an example, okay? But now with this, what happens? Understand, in accounting, last year's revenue will be shown as 6,500 rupees and this year's revenue will be shown as 9,000 rupees. I will feel that, and what will the company highlight? 38% growth in top line. It's not actually 38% business growth. This business growth is actually split into two. So I can say core business growth is only 20% and that balance 18.46% was only and only because of foreign exchange gain. Okay, now understand, how could this have even a different picture? For that, focus on this example number 2. Okay, what happens in example number 2? I'll directly take you to this figure, 9.62%. Company will say that our revenue grew by 9.62%. But wait, what has happened? Let's understand. The revenue in 2019 was $100 and this year it is only $95. In fact, there has been a drop in the business by $5, by 5%, I mean. Okay, but then how did the growth of 9.62% take place? It was only because of the foreign exchange conversion. Okay, so quickly tell me now, if you want to understand the true business growth, not the only revenue growth, true business growth will be measured by what? By CC growth, constant currency growth, or by the total revenue growth. It will be by CC growth, constant currency growth. If I want to talk about the CC growth of TCS, Infosys and Wipro, just check this out. CC growth percentage wise, Q1 was minus 6.3% for TCS. For Infosys, it was plus 1.5%, and for Wipro also, it was minus 4.4%. I'm focusing only on the CC growth right now. I hope this point is absolutely clear and you've also understood the meaning of CC growth. Please understand, in my example, it was only dollar and Indian rupees. In practical life, it could be dollars, Australian dollars, Singapore dollars, euro, GBP, so many points. And all these currencies put together, they'll have a constant currency growth. We'll not go into the calculation of that, but we'll understand at least that currency to currency, how much was the total growth. So let's move on to the second point. Second point is of a strategic alliance. A strategic alliance is nothing but where you strategize very carefully and you join hands with another company. Now, why do they join hands? So that they do this because they believe that these two companies, if they come together, then they can bring out the synergy benefit within themselves. So what is synergy in simple words? Whenever I say that 2 plus 2 could be more than 4, okay, that is nothing but a synergy benefit. So for example, Jio entered into agreements with so many other players, but Jio and Facebook deal, that was one of the biggest first few deals which happened with Jio. Why did they do this deal? Both the parties, Jio as well as Facebook, both might have thought that if we come together, we can achieve much more. That is nothing but synergy, and that is nothing but a strategic alliance which a company has to make. If more and more strategic alliances any company is making, that's always considered to be a positive sign, and all IT companies show these figures in their annual reports. So let's understand for TCS, how many strategic alliances have they done? Only in Q1 2021, okay, during the pandemic first quarter, how many strategic alliances have they done? They have done strategic partnerships with number 1, Aegon UK, which is an American developer of the networking products. It's, by the way, a Fortune 500 company. Next, they have also done a partnership with RBI for the public credit registry program. Third, they have also entered into various strategic partnerships is what they have given. They have not given the names of all these small players now, okay, but they have talked about what are they going to do with that. They are going to go ahead with various partnerships which will deal in blockchains, analytics, IoTs, cognitive business operations, cloud, cybersecurity, so on and so forth. And these deals, all these deals put together, which I'm talking about, they amount to $6.94 billion. Okay, so more and more strategic deals which happen are definitely considered to be a positive point. What about Infosys? Infosys signed deals with Vanguard, Global Foundries, and NICE Actimize. Okay, NICE is again listed on Nasdaq. Infosys signed deals worth rupees $1.74 billion. Okay, this is way too less as compared to TCS. TCS was $6.94 billion. Infosys is $1.74 billion. What about Wipro? Wipro has not mentioned how much in terms of dollars, but they have just said that we have got 5 new customers in which are in the $20 million plus bracket. Okay, all the big ticket players, all the big ticket customers which are going to give us big money. More than $20 million they'll be having business. As such, they have brought in 5 new customers in that segment. Okay, they also talk about entering into strategic partnership with John Lewis, E.ON, which is a German-based energy company. Then they have entered into few contracts with multinational European automobile manufacturers. So all these put together, if I'm talking about one single wrap up for this point, what do you have to check out? Second thing that you have to check out is the company entering into more and more strategic partnerships or not? If they are, then the chances of growth in the future is considered to be much higher. So let's talk about the next point, which is client contribution comparison. How much clients, how much is the diversity of my clients? So if I talk about these categories, you can check it out on the screen. I have $1 million plus clients, then I have $5 million plus client, $10 million plus, $20 million plus, 50 and $100 million plus client. Now, what is this? Now, this is nothing but I have categorized my clients as to big ticket size clients and small clients. Okay. Now, on what basis am I defining this? What is $100 million? It means that if I'm talking about a client, okay, whose revenue, whose last 12 months revenue is more than $100 million, he will be into the last category. If I'm talking about a client whose revenue last 12 months, client's revenue, not my revenue, okay, the client's revenue is, let us say, $1.2 million, then that client will fit into the first category. Now, why do I check this? Obviously, if I'm talking about a big client, let's say I am an IT company in India and I get a job from, let us say, Tesla, okay, then definitely that is going to be in my $100 million plus category, let us say. Okay, so basically I'm talking about clients which are big in size, which are big in revenue. If these clients grow, it's going to be beneficial for me. Okay, so that comparison, how much were the number of clients, all these things are again given in the annual report. Okay, here you can see that in FY20 it was 1014. I'm going to talk only about lowest and highest category. Okay, first for TCS, it was 1014 clients in Q1 FY20, and in Q1 FY21 it's 1066. So small ticket size clients have also increased, but by how much? They've increased by 5.13%. But if I'm comparing it with the previous quarter, so last quarter of 1920 versus first quarter of 2021, it was 1072 and now it is 1066. In fact, it is down by 0.56%. Okay, now if I go to the big ticket size, now I hope you have understood the comparison. I'll directly tell you, as far as Q1 versus Q1 is concerned, last year Q1, current year Q1 is concerned, it's a 9.09% increase, positive sign, in spite of all these ongoing situations. But if I'm comparing it with the Q4 of the previous year, it's a drop by 2%. Okay, now we'll directly compare this. $100 million plus clients. What about TCS? It is a 9% increase. For Infosys, it's a 7% decrease, and for Wipro, they are like it's the same. If you see, the absolute number is also same, 13 and 13. The next point is localization focus. Now, what is this? What many companies from Western countries started to do is that to reduce their costs, they started to outsource the projects to Indian IT companies. Now, what started to happen is that our IT companies started to get more and more contracts. They started growing bigger. In India, they started becoming very famous. But at one point of time, they thought that why become famous only in India? Why not recruit people from other countries of the world as well? okay, so that our brand does not stay only in India, but it becomes a worldwide brand. So now you can imagine something like this. An American company is outsourcing work to Infosys, but what is Infosys doing? Rather than employing additional employees in India, they are employing US people, they are employing European people, they are employing American people, Australian people, let us say. Now with this, what will happen is that people in USA, they'll start telling that I'm working with Infosys, okay? And there's also one basic point that we are also going in good books of, let us say for an example that I'm talking about, good books of American government also. Why? Because we are creating jobs in US as well, indirectly, correct? So with this, there's also one more advantage. Now what is that advantage? An Indian employee will fly from India to USA. So we are talking about his traveling cost, we are talking about his stay cost, we are talking about his food cost. Obviously he will take a nice store in US as well. So all these costs definitely are going to add up. These costs will go away if we are hiring people from US itself. There are many companies. In fact, I'll say first I would like to start here with Infosys, because they have started this localization focus. Now I hope you are understanding the word localization. Employ local people. US is outsourcing work to us, employ a US person only. That's a localization focus. They started this way back in 2017, and as a result of which there are more than 35,000 employees which have been recruited from US nationals. So we are giving a job to 35,000 US nationals. Okay, right. So TCS, what about TCS? They have also around 4.48 lakh employees, 4.48 lakh employees in total, which include employees from more than 144 countries. So you can imagine, that's such a huge thing. You're having people from more than 144 countries working for TCS. Third, if I'm talking about Wipro also has done a lot of localization in US, which is around 69.8%, which is biggest market of the world. Wait, this 69.8% could be maybe a little bit confusing. So let me give you a simple example for this. Let us say I got a contract from some company in USA. Me being an Indian IT company, I try to find out that how many employees would I require for this specific project. Assume that I'm going to require 100 employees for this project. Out of 100, I would ensure that 69.8 employees nahi ho sakte. So it will be 70 employees, obviously. 70 employees will be from USA only. Okay, that's one of the biggest ones. So this is how Wipro would go ahead as far as such projects are concerned. And I hope with this you have understood the concept of localization. So let's move on with the last point, which I've considered as other factors. And inside this other factors, I've taken 3 minor points. Okay, which is the first one? First one is utilization. How effectively is a company able to utilize its employees? Obviously, logically, higher the utilization, better it is going to be for the company, right? Now, what is the big challenge? Challenge is work from home. So whenever employees are working from home, is the company able to get the best possible utilization from their employees or not? For that, let's compare this. TCS has not declared this in their annual report. Neither have they given in their quarterly results. For Infosys, in the quarterly result, they mentioned that it is 81.2% in Q1 this quarter. But in the prior period, it was 83.5%. So for Infosys, the effectiveness or the utilization has dropped down a little bit. But for Wipro, it has increased by more than 2%. Now, there could be multiple reasons for this, but what I read in their annual report, I found out something like Wipro Homes, HOLMES. They have a big long form for that. But that's like a technology that they have developed which helps their employees to work from home with more and more effectiveness. So if all such softwares come up, then definitely working from home may become a bit easier. And even if people are working from home, the utilization for the company will still not be impacted that much. Okay, so simple one, higher the utilization percentage, better it is for the company. Second one is guidance. Now what is guidance? It means that company gives this guidance number to the media, as in they tell that we believe that in the next quarter our revenue growth will be this much. We believe that in the next quarter our EBITDA margins will be this much, operating margins will be this much. Now if you know this, in Q4 of FY20, okay, previous year, last quarter, Very few software companies, very few IT companies gave any guidance. They said we are not sure what will happen in Q1 FY21. We are not sure what will happen with the pandemic thing. Okay, and that is why, what were the expectations? Expectations were very low because even management had not given any guidance. And what were the results? Very good for IT companies. So that was one of the major reasons why all the IT stocks in the recent past zoomed up so much, because expectation was very less and actual results came out to be pretty nice. Okay, so always remember this: good guidance if the company is giving, that's a positive sign. So TCS has given a revenue guidance of almost 0 to 2%, while operating margins they have given at 21 to 23%. Same as the case with Infosys. Wipro, they have not mentioned. Last one is the attrition. Attrition is how many people go out of the organization. Okay, so for attrition, you can see here Q1 21, and we are also comparing with the prior period attrition percentage. For TCS, it's 11%. Prior year, it was 12%. For Infosys, it's 11%. Prior period, it was 15%. And Wipro also 13 versus 14. Means what? The overall attrition, employees leaving the organization, okay, that has dropped in this year as compared to previous year. This shows how much, how people are comfortable with the organization, how they are enjoying their work in the organization. So lesser the attrition rate, better it is considered to be. But wait, in the current pandemic situation, do you really feel that there are going to be daredevils who are going to really leave the organization to find a better job opportunity? I don't think so. So attrition rate is definitely a very important parameter. But if I'm talking about this quarter or maybe even the upcoming quarter, I don't think that we should really be considering this specific parameter. Just in case you were to consider it, then don't compare it with the previous year, but you may compare it with the industry average. I hope you have understood all these parameters which I talked about, IT companies which are generally not talked about. But please understand, you might be wondering that why Rachna has taken only Infosys, TCS and Wipro. I mean, why not other companies? Like it could be L&T Infotech, it could be HCL Tech. Why not these companies? See, I've taken only, in the IT sector, I've taken large caps, and that too top 3 as per the market capitalization. Okay, so first of all, IT sector, I sorted them market cap wise, and in that top 3 only I've considered as an example. Now your question, can these same parameters be used for L&T Infotech? Yes. For HCL Tech? Yes. And any other IT company, same parameters can be used. I've taken these 3 just as an example. I hope you have understood this in detail analysis of how to do a little bit hatke, a little bit different analysis of IT sector companies. If you have enjoyed this content, don't forget to share this video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, that join button and all other instructions now you are aware of. Okay, so that's it from my side. I hope you have enjoyed this. Jai Hind and bye-bye.